sweating my people with
Brain dead gameplay. Easy infamy. Easy infamy?
this is
Spear down. Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. Now in today's video we're going to be doing the much anticipated one-handed spear guide, so I hope you guys enjoy that. I'm going to be teaching you everything you need to know about the one-handed spear, multiple gear recommendations, armor recommendations, and yeah, everything you need to know for corrupted dungeons. So before we get into the guide, we're going to be picking the giveaway winners for last week's giveaway of 3 Black Panthers. So let's get into that. Got the comments all lined up, and let's see who wins. We've got Doza. Okay, so back-to-back winners for Doenza here. He won the week before as well. So congratulations to him. Hell yeah. Now we have 3 winners for this giveaway, so we will go ahead and pick another winner. Alright, we've got Thorvik. He says, thanks for the video and the giveaway. Hope to see more content from you, and here is more content and a giveaway. So it's pretty good for you. Alright, another winner. And it's Kokachu with referral links IGN. He says awesome. Alright. So those are the 3 winners, guys. And for this week's giveaway, we're going to be doing another giveaway. We're going to be giving away 5 Morgana Raven. They're not worth that much, 400k about. But more winners, more chances for you guys to win. So just leave a comment with your in-game name down below, and you'll be in the running to win a Morgana Raven. Alright guys, so starting off the guide, we're just going to be going over the gear that I most recommend, and that's going to be this right here. This is really what I've found the most success with. I know it's pretty unorthodox, but yeah, I'll explain everything here. So with the one-handed spear, going into a corrupted dungeon or getting into a fight, I do recommend just running with cripple. This way, if it's a really strong like a quarterstaff build or something that's going to run you down, you can use cripple to make some distance and select the correct ability that you want to use for the fight if it's not cripple. And again, much like the Daybreaker guide, cripple is just a super strong ability, especially if someone has something like Wanderlust or even Demon Boots. Just works really well against that. For quarterstaffs, it does remove the actual stun part of their W if you manage to hit that. So it's really effective. It can be super useful, and obviously the damage buff, 25% for 5 seconds, is super useful on that as well. Yeah, I'd recommend just stick with cripple when you guys first get into a fight or when someone's invading your dungeon. For the shoe slot, when someone's invading your dungeon, well, you want to be on, I like to be on cooldown. You can also be on Balanced Mind, or even Swiftness works with spears as well. I personally like cooldown. But I would recommend just be on run. Run is bread and butter. Good movement ability. And now refreshing sprint has its purposes as well, but I would recommend run. And again, something like a curse staff, or like a two-handed crossbow, like the regular crossbow. Something like dodge can be effective, but that's again something that you want to swap into because its movement speed is bad. Yeah, just keep it on run. If it's something that you can counter with a well-timed iframe, because this is a 0.8 second iframe where you won't take damage or CC. So against builds that might do a huge nuke in one hit, a dagger pair also, you can use dodge roll, or this dodge ability, and negate that damage. So super useful, but only against some builds, so just keep it on run. Armor of Valor is going to be probably pretty weird, but its best feature is the walk animation. Yeah, I really love Armor of Valor. It's like super good for a lot of different things. So its ability doesn't seem like amazing when you first look at it, but it has CC immunity while you're channeling. So you can't get hit by something like a silence from like the crossbow silence. You can't get hit by like knockbacks. You don't get affected by, I mean, like holy staffs do the knockback thing all the time. And against black hands as well, you can use it to negate their E if you time it correctly, because they have to stun you with the first hit of their E to get that second hit. So you'll only take like a small bit of damage from their E if you do manage to time this right. And against other builds like Cursed Skull as well, this R ability is really useful just because it hits so many times. So yeah, also bad on bow, strong. It's just strong against a lot of different builds that are usually really hard to counter, and it's plate armor, so it's going to give you that huge sustain ability. And normally plate armor, you know, wouldn't be that good, but you get so much attack damage percent bonus from spears that you still end up doing a decent amount of damage. Now, spear is like the most versatile weapon in the game, so you could run this with, I would recommend Armor Valor or Knight Armor you could also use, but I'd recommend Armor Valor over Knight. For the leather armor, Assassin Jacket would really be the pick there. You could do like Hunter Jacket is kind of made for spears, but it's not really good in PvP. And then Mercenary Jacket is like, if you can use like a mage cowl and do some weird stuff with that, but I would just recommend Assassin Jacket really in the leather armor. And then for cloth, you got Mage Robe and Cleric Robe, but stick to Mage Robe, I think. For the head slot, I found running with Fiend Cowl works the best. It's just a super solid headpiece, and it gets rid of Mercenary Jackets, which are kind of infecting the meta right now. If it's not Black Hands or not like some one-shot build, then they have Mercenary Jacket. So yeah, Fiend Cowl, if you time it right, if you hit the Mercenary Jacket, can be super useful against builds that want to run away from you. You can also purge the run again off of that. Can be just useful for so many things. So many things in this game can be purged, and Fiend Cowl does a great job of it. Now on the more expensive side, you can also use the Cultist Cowl. Again, going to be quite expensive, but it does a ton of damage. Mage Cowl, also pretty effective. All the light armor cowls do have this force field ability that knocks people back, and that's really useful for knocking people into traps or mobs, and it also interrupts. If you can interrupt something big with that, then yeah, use that. There's not every build has something that you need to purge, so then I'll just swap to force field, because almost every build has something that you can theoretically interrupt, even though it might be really difficult. But it does a little bit of damage, so the damage doesn't really matter. It's really the knockback that you want. Cowl's going to be what I recommend, really. You can also use Hunter Hood. Going to be pretty strong. Going to be more reflect damage. I mean, you have this Armor Valor, so you could do like a super strong reflect build and go deflecting spin and just reflect everything back on someone. It's kind of just a gimmick, so Hunter Hood is definitely probably the second pick from a cowl or light armor hood. Then you also have something like the Guardian Helm. It's going to be useful as well, just a shield. Like a lot of people using the Guardian Helm, so that doesn't really come as much of a surprise. Fiend Cowl, Mage Cowl, Cultist Cowl, Hunter Hood, or Guardian Helm. It's going to be my recommendations for head slot. Now Cape, Thetford Cape. The spear is a very kite heavy build, where you're going to usually be fighting someone for extended periods, and the Thetford Cape is going to be just really good for that, because it only has a 15-second cooldown. Yeah, you're going to be able to hit it several times, usually. Just a great cape overall. It works really well for farming the dungeon as well, making the fights go faster. So yeah, would recommend that. For the offhand, there's several different things you can use for the offhand. I found the most successful would be Taproot, and I know what you're probably thinking, like Armor Valor and Taproot. It's like seriously overkill on the tank side of things, but it's so difficult for people to kill you. I mean, it really turns fights in Corrupted Dungeon into just a wait for the perfect opportunity kind of thing, because in general, you're going to be able to get away from people if you time your cripple and run spells correctly. You will be able to get away from pretty much anyone in Corrupted Dungeons, any builds, and yeah, those two in unison are going to be really strong, and especially against things that are pretty common in the meta right now, Dagger Pair and Black Hands. It's going to be just really nuts for that. I mean, they can't do enough damage really to to go through all of your resistances. So yeah, it's really effective. I also recommend Beef Sandwich as well. Even more HP, even more tankiness. It's really what we're going for here. If I wasn't running Taproot, I would probably go for the Torch and then the Mist Collar. Those are really the three best options that you have. You could also use a Musak, Muisak or whatever. Musak. There you go. Pretty useful, and since this build is lacking on damage, it's good. The spear doesn't use that much mana, so yeah, the ability cost reduction doesn't affect it as much. So definitely not a terrible choice there. And for the shields, I wouldn't really recommend shields. You already have enough defense, really, even though it is percentage based, so it does affect heavy armor the most. I do think that just running a Taproot is going to be several times better and definitely worth the price. So this is an expensive build, 415k. It's actually, you know, less expensive than you would think. Most Corrupted Dungeon builds are going to be sitting at around 300k, so going, you know, 100k over that isn't that bad for what I've experienced to be like an 80 to 90% win rate, depending on if I'm playing good or not. The only things that can be dangerous for this build are going to be Curse Staffs if they're smart enough to change their W ability to Armor Pierce. It's going to do a lot more damage than you are ready for, so just be wary of that. That's really the main counter that I've had. Frost Staffs can also be kind of difficult. I'd recommend swapping to Cripple, or Deflecting Spin, I'm sorry. If you fight a Frost Staff, you're probably only going to be really able to hit 1 or 2 of their spells with Deflecting Spin, and then you just cancel the channel and keep going on them. Kind of just really, using Deflecting Spin, I don't really like using Deflecting Spin because it is really just based on having your opponent play into you playing bad. You know, Deflecting Spin is interesting, but for most fights, I wouldn't really recommend it. There's obviously like Bleeds, Cursed Staff, and Cursed Skull can be affected a lot by Deflecting Spin. I mean, you can do a ton of damage to them with that, but something like, you might think that would be good against a Baton Bow, but Baton Bow has a silence built in as well, so you won't even be able to channel it, and you'll just lose because you need more movement speed. So for the spear abilities other than Cripple, like these two, Inner Focus and Force of Spears, just don't even think about them. Use Force of Spears for clearing the dungeon, that's it. Deflecting Spin, useful again for what I just said. Impaler is going to be useful for builds that don't have a traditional movement speed ability on their boots, such as like Hellion Shoes. So something like Black Hands, it's going to be useful for that. It's also just good for kiting. If you're going to be using a Mist Collar as well, benefits a lot using Impaler because it does have a low cooldown. If I'm not using Cripple, I'm usually using Impaler. Good swap there. It does do a lot of damage. Now Harpoon is going to be really most useful for fighting against bow players or someone that can jump away from you. So with against like a Baton Bow or Warbow, you can, when they hit their frost shot, you can just harpoon them back into you, and at that point they really don't have much they can do, because you do generally do more damage than them. So that's pretty much it for the one-handed spear. It's a super versatile weapon. It does have answers for almost every fight, every different build in Corrupted Dungeons, as long as you play it correctly. And with this super tanky build, you should have no problem playing correctly, because you have so many chances to reset the fight. Just remember your healing pots. Remember to bring enough healing pots and your beef sandwiches, and you'll be just fine. Alright, let's get into some fights, and I'll show you just how to play against them. You know, different builds have different counters, different ways you have to think while playing spear. So let's get into that. Alright, so first fight is going to be against a one-handed crossbow. And I do end up playing this one pretty cleanly. As you can see, I used my Armor Valor to not get silenced by his W there. And I knocked him back to cancel his Q. And I don't really have much else here. I could have dodge rolled to avoid that silence. Kind of a misplay there. I do have dodge roll again. I could have avoided his E damage. Again, a misplay. But sometimes you don't think about these things in the heat of the moment. I used my E to interrupt his Q there, And I tried to use my Armor of Valor again for his silence, but I didn't hit it. And again, Armor of Valor will silence his Q right there. So all in all, pretty clean fight, and just kind of countered him the entire time. So you can see why Armor of Valor can be strong. Alright, so getting into the next fight is going to be against a one-handed Frost, and the most important thing here is going to be inspecting his Scholar Sandals to see if he has the non-purgeable sprint. And as you can see, he did get his Morgana Cape, so I just purged that away, and now I'm going to try to run away, because I do see that he does have the Scholar Sandal sprint, so I do need to swap away from my cripple ability. And Frost Staffs can be really difficult to run away from, just because they have so much mobility, but I don't think he was ready for me to try to reset the fight so early, so that's kind of why I was able to actually do that. So here I am able to swap back to Deflecting Spin, and that's going to give me the edge in this fight. It is pretty good against Frost Staffs. I would recommend also Harpoon, can be quite useful against them, as they are trying to just kite you the entire time. So as you can see, I'm really just using a Deflecting Spin off cooldown, and I did Fiend Cowl his Mage Robe right there. Mage Robe can be pretty nasty because it'll remove your Q stacks. And I do break that bat just to do a little bit more damage, but he does have quick reaction times there and just jumps out. And I do E away his Scholar Sandal, so now he really has nothing to get away from me. And yeah, a little bit of BM right there and finish him off. All in all, pretty good fight against a build that is super strong. Alright, next fight is going to be against a one-handed Mace. And the one-handed Mace has a lot of mobility, and he's also using the Mist Collar, so he's going to have really good cooldowns. It's going to be difficult for me to keep up with him. I do manage to cripple away his movement speed ability right there, and that's really just to give me damage. And I am using the knockback on my Fiend Cowl, so try to knock him into the trap, but didn't quite hit. As you can see, I avoided his stun right there with my Armor of Valor. As long as you can time it right, it's super strong. Now he uses movement speed again, and I crippled it again. Super strong with the spear because the E is so instant. And yeah, really just messed that guy up. Armor Valor, again, MVP. Alright, next fight's going to be against a Baton Bow, and I'm using Mage Robe this fight and Hunter Hood. So I figured I'd show you a little bit of a different build, but unfortunately I do end up losing this one off a pretty easy mistake if you are going to be using the Mage Robe. So figured I'd just show it off. Now in this fight, he is on the bottom right of the screen. My webcam is just blocking it a little bit. So I'm breaking these frogs just to get Q stacks on my spear. But he completely noped out of this fight, so I think he knew what I was up to and just wanted me to start the fight with no Q stacks. So he's got a pretty typical Baton Bow build. It's really strong. He's just going to use an E on me here. Yep. And he knocks me back into it. But I did use Hunter Hood pretty well there. Ends up doing pretty much all the damage back to him. And I missed my Harpoon. Terrible mistake there. And I used my Mage Robe. Now, I'm not sure why I used my Mage Robe. It was really dumb. So, yeah, against the build with a Mercenary Jacket, save your Mage Robe. Because as you can see, he went down to 1 HP 2 separate times there. And, yeah, if I just had Mage Robe, he would have died. So, that's a lesson for you. Don't use your Mage Robe prematurely. Alright, next fight is going to be against a Black Hands player. Now this was a little bit of a weird one because he doesn't have Alien shoes. He's just got Assassin shoes. So I do have Impale on, and I think I'm going to end up keeping that on. But it is an interesting build to fight against nonetheless. I think I should have probably just swapped to Impaler. But I'm kind of bamboozled here, so I just reset the fight. And it's just a good rule of thumb to just reset the fight. If you feel uncomfortable, just think about your options think about what abilities you can swap to, and then go back in. So as you can see, I'm just thinking about if I should swap to Impaler or not. Thinking about the possibilities of crippling him. And just looking at his abilities, and yeah. So here we go. He does get unlucky with the E there. He did poison me as well, so I really should have timed that better. And I got a knockback on him. I was a little bit lucky. And I interrupt his assassin hood channel. That's pretty important. And yeah, he's definitely losing this fight, but he has his E again. And as you can see, he's got a glorious 48 HP. And wait for it. Wait for it. The glorious 1 HP on this guy. Yeah. Gotta love that. Black Hands player getting 1 HP luck. Alright, so we're gonna have to end up resetting this fight because I got shafted by the lava here as well, of course. But it's no problem. His build is only worth 60k and he's kind of owning me in mobility and damage. Black Hands, totally awesome build to play against. And I just E there to make distance so he can't E me. And he gets unlucky with his Chain Slash. Not really unlucky, it was a misplay. Because he selected me first with his Chain Slash, so typical Black Hands mistake. And as you can see, he Chain Slashed and it wasn't really a great idea, but there you go. He got his full assassin hood channel off, so I just make distance with my E, and I'm going to try to reset this fight. And we do end up managing to reset. Now if I had lost this when he had 1 HP left, I probably would have uninstalled Albion. But luckily we do end up winning the fight. So I just break that frog to make it more difficult for him to catch me so I can just heal up. I don't really want to use my cabbage soup if I don't have to. But if you feel pressured, just don't hesitate using your cabbage soup. So it can be the difference between life and death. Alright, getting into round 2 here. And he's going to get a little bit shafted there. I know he's going to just Chain Slash into me, so I hit him with my knockback. And I'm just trying to create distance this whole time. Keep on kiting him with my Q ability. And we do end up getting a little bit of an outplay here just because he is kind of easy to read. Yeah, he goes back in there for some reason, not really sure why. And I used my cripple. Not the best time, but I kind of realized that I wasn't going to be able to hit him with cripple, honestly. And yeah, knockback. I waited for his cleric robe and then knocked back on the assassin hood because I just knew that he was going to do that. And it ended up being an easy fight. Okay, next fight gonna be Black Hands as well, obviously. What else? Now this guy has Shadow Dagger, a little bit of an unorthodox build, but I have inspected him prior to this fight. So, as you can see, I missed my Impaler, not a great thing. I was thinking about Eing him to stop his channel, but I didn't do it. And I used my Armor of Valor to cancel out his E. Good play right there. And as you can see, I'm starting to get kind of low, and I do have 5 seconds left on my potion, so I'm kind of panicking a little bit. But he does end up actually resetting the fight, and now I've got my potion up. Just use that on cooldown. And that's kind of why I kept chasing him here. If I didn't have it up, I would have definitely ran away. I knew he was going to Shadow Dagger because he started running at me. Kind of obvious. And I don't really know where he stopped there. But again, he messes up his cleric robe. This guy is the god at messing up cleric robes. And I just really outplayed his whole movement there, and he just kind of gives up. So, hey, that's how it goes sometimes. Next fight going to be against a Claymore, and I forgot to mention this, but Cripple does counter swords incredibly incredibly hard because Cripple will remove their stacks completely of their Q. So yeah, you didn't really have much of a chance, and I'm using Mercenary Jacket Mage Cow. Like, I don't even know what I'm doing in this clip. But yeah, we do end up just kind of beating this guy, owning this guy, because of Cripple's ability to just cancel out completely counter swords. So he hits me with 0 stacks and does no damage, and it's an easy fight. Okay, so last fight is going to be against a dagger pair user, and I do have knight armor here. And I don't get a chance to inspect this guy, so just keep that in mind. Dagger pair is obviously a super one-shot build. And I'm just hitting the Spectre here to notify him of where I am and also keep my Q stacks up. I'm not able to keep my Q stacks up because I'm not very good. But as you can see, he gets that E off on me. And I'm just chasing him down here while he doesn't have anything. And he uses his Assassin Jacket. Now when a Dagger Pair uses Assassin Jacket, you just need to create distance, because they're going to hit you with that damage buffed E. And yeah, it ended up avoiding a lot of damage there. I used my E to just stall a little tiny bit more time so he couldn't use his E on me. And it ends up working out for me. As you can see, he's not really doing that much damage to me. And I purge his Q stacks there right as I know that he's going to use his E. So that's another great use for Fiend Cowl. And yeah, hit him with the E again. I knew he was going to try to use his E once he got to 3 stacks, and I just used my E. Baited him out, and it worked out great. Alright guys, so thank you so much for watching this video. This one took a long time to make, so I really hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, remember to leave your in-game name and a comment below and give some criticism. Either like the video and subscribe to my channel. It really helps me out so much, and I appreciate all the love I've been getting on my past videos. You guys are the best. Alright, have a great day.